Hello and welcome to Mission Sports TV. This is The Locker Room. I'm Dave DeRocher and with my buddy Tim Busy. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good, Dave. Good to see you. Good to see that face, my man. How are you?
Fantastic. Still rocking COVID, but representing my newfound favorite team, the Steelers.
I got my COVID also right here. I'm repping my forever squad where I've been riding with since the beginning. The Chargers. I got my Keenan Allen shirt on, sky blue. What's up?
Right on.
Here we go. So Dave, we got an awesome episode ahead. I want to talk a little bit about faith in high school. Sports never changed. Football has been the same back then as it was now, but culture has. So what was it like being in high school, way back when you were in high school, and being a man of faith in football and in your school too as well, not just in the locker room, but in school in general in that high school era?
So yeah, way back. So the 35 years way back, and no, it was even more than that. Oh my gosh. Anyhow,
don't age yourself, my man. Come on.
Yeah, when they chiseled things into rock. So when I look back, and I grew up, going to church and a strong faith family, and the thing that resonates is that it wasn't an issue. It wasn't a thing. It was just something we did. We said a prayer before the game as a team without giving it a second thought, because that's what you did, and it was a prayer. And I forget who it was led by, but I distinctly remember that being part of it. And to see where it's at today, where I just a couple of years ago worked with a local high school and took a position as a coach, and eventually, kind of helped lead the team a little bit for about a year, to being told that you can't talk about God on campus or to the kids, and you don't say prayer because of just all of the, like you said, the changes in the culture. And I thought I had a real hard time with that, because when I coached with Coach Hamilton, which in our other episode I shared on, we used to say the Lord's Prayer before every game, despite the fact that he could get in trouble for it, because that was in the late 90s. In 2007, 8, and 9. So, even then it was starting to change, but he still stuck to his faith and still dealt with it. And I shared with you just a second ago, when I was at San Diego State, the coaches began every semester with priorities, young men: God, family, school, football. Now, they said that, but football came first. but that's what they said to us. We can't say that anymore. So what a shame. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, it really stemmed from my family. That's kind of where my faith stood. It wasn't really in high school too much, unless you had your friends. That's who really it came from, who you surrounded yourself with. But my high school team, no, we didn't really talk about God too much. Not then, not in high school. In college, both at JUCO level and at San Diego State, I mean, we said the Lord's Prayer before every game. And I love that, man. I found that powerful when, you have your whole entire team circled around, huddled around, holding hands and coming in together in unity before a game. That got our minds right, that we're in this thing together, regardless, win or loss. We were going to stick it out. So,
every time I say the Lord's Prayer, and it doesn't matter where it's at, I get goosebumps because it's game time. In my mind, that's game time. Just like the Star Spangled Banner, when it starts playing, I rock. I just can't help it, because you're on the field and you're getting ready to go. And so those two things, to me, even at 55 and decades removed from the game, give me goosebumps because of my experience to which I tie them to, and how much that meant to me. And I couldn't fathom beginning a football game without saying the Lord's Prayer. So it's a shame that's actually, a part of today's culture, as you brought up. So
hopefully we could get it trending back in the other direction.
Well, you know what? There's that discussion's being had, isn't it? I mean, at least we're starting to hear that. It's like enough's enough. You've
Right.
pushed this too far and pushed this too far away, and look what's happening. Look what's happening.
No, so true, so true. Our next guest, he is a high school kid. It's going to be our first young guy on the show. Super excited, and he's outstanding. Not just an outstanding football player, but a man off the field. High standards, morals, and values. Did you have a friend like that in high school that you could depend on and lean on, that shared the same values as you back then?
Interesting question. And when I think back to high school, no, I didn't. And that whole faith thing was more of a coaching and a team thing, but not an individual young man that I can recall. But I do recall a teammate like that. And actually, he's going to be a guest of ours in the next episode. And it was a man that, as a professional athlete, conducted himself just with character and values, and it was a pretty doggone good football player, and didn't fall into the trappings, And I looked at him as a way to conduct yourself, and I would encourage young people to find that earlier, and surround yourself with people like that, because you are who you surround yourself with, and that's how people see you. And you need to be conscientious of that.
Right. It was the same for me. I mean, I definitely had some friends that, encouraged that, which was crucial, but no one really pushing it hard. I think high school is it's that weird age where,
Right.
Everyone's influenced by everybody. You don't want to listen to your parents a lot of the time. You're going through all these transitions and these changes. But yeah, I would say, find someone early on, the earlier the better, that you could depend on and lean on. And that's going to uplift you, with encouragement and the word of God, because at the end of the day, that's the truth. And living that truth is going to bring you success and peace and joy in every single area of life. So,
And keep you on the right path.
Amen.
All right. Hey, so when we come back, we're going to have our guest, Mr. Xavier Cousar. Okay, hey, welcome back into the locker room. With us is our guest, Mr. Xavier Cousar. Xavier, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, Tim, will you introduce our guest?
Yes, Xavier played here locally at Northwood High School. He was the 2019 Pacific Coast League Defensive Player of the Year,
Wow.
Two-time All-CIF player, his team MVP, and was selected to play in the 2020 Blue-Gray All-American Bowl that they played in the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium. Xavier, a.k.a. Terminator X, welcome, my man. How are you?
Pretty good. How you been doing?
Doing good. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on, my man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, X, let's jump right into it, all right? High school football is a whole lot different from when I was in it, when Dave was in it. As culture, society, the social media, all these things going on now, all these distractions, as I say they are. What is it like playing high school football right now, and how do you keep faith as your focal point there?
It's definitely an interesting experience, because when I first started playing football, I was in 6th grade, so we had the Pop Warner leagues, and so I would actually go to the high school games, and I'd be like, this is something I want to do in the future. And so when I got to high school, it was something completely different than what I'd seen like movies and what I thought it was. There were a lot of people who I talked to and be like, oh, you play football, there's like this and this that you have to go along with. And so there'd be a lot of people who got like parties and be doing stuff that generally I don't associate myself with. And so pretty much what I kind of keep in mind and keep in faith is that I have to do something that will better myself in the future and would be deemed worthy as something holy. And so, generally speaking, I don't do anything that puts my body at risk. So I don't, when my friends go out partying and drinking, I don't drink all that smoking, vaping. I have friends that, and in my mind, I'm just thinking, this isn't going to help my body in the future and progress me to where I want to go. So there's no point in doing it.
So, and so aside from the those influences, what about social media influences and the trap I see a lot of young people doing and posting inappropriate things, saying inappropriate things, because those all come back to haunt you, as we're all learning.
Right. So well, my mom follows me on everything, so that's kind of my trick to make sure. Okay,
there you go. That's it.
If it's something I don't want my mom to see, then I'm not gonna post it. And then also it's just like keeping that set of mindset. And with this new rule in 2021, where athletes can profit off of their name and brand, it would be kind of detrimental to my success if I had something that I posted way back when that wasn't as appropriate, or that isn't appropriate to be on social media. And so there's just no point in risking it or putting myself in that situation.
Man, that's you're wise beyond your years, as I would say, my man. That's good that you got that good head on your shoulders. And it sounds like your mom plays a big role in your life too. And yeah, that's so crucial to have that mindset, especially at a young age, because I mean, it's a slippery slope, especially in high school. I mean, I saw a lot of guys who are on my team, that took the wrong turn and went down the wrong path of life. And it sounds like you're on the right one, and you're on the journey in the right direction, my man. So kudos to that, man.
Thank you.
So in your school, or at your school rather, what was it like on the fifth side of things? So when I grew up and was playing, and even back when I coached in high school, and I am just amazed that it was 13 years ago, but before the game we would say the Lord's Prayer. We would have a hugging or loving Wednesday where we'd hug and tell each of the players we loved on them. Is there still that kind of a thing going on? Did you guys do that?
Yeah, so all 3 years I was on varsity, our QB was actually the FCA leader at our school, and all of them were. Shout out to my boy Jaden. He's graduating my class. He's actually our FCA leader this year. And so before every game, we'd have a team prayer. And since our school was pretty diverse, we'd have some in the Muslim community and those who practice other religions. And even then, they still got around together with us. They didn't kneel with all of us just to respect their religion, but they still came together with us as we prayed.
That's nice. Now, are you in a public or private school?
Public.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that speaks to your team's bond right there, that you guys respect the differences, but the one commonality that we all have is that you have that brotherhood in your team. So that's really cool to hear that. I like that a lot. So who are some of the major influences in your life right now and through your playing career?
Aside from mom. We already know.
Right now, I'd say Aaron Donald. He's a beast on the field, and kind of growing up, I told myself I don't want to get, like growing up, I'd always seen D linemen. They're like 300 plus pounds, 6'5", 6'7". And then I started watching football 2 years ago, and I see Aaron Donald. He's 6'2", 280. That's around pretty much my size. And so I've just been watching him, trying to style my game based off of him. I watch him do his moves that he posts on Instagram. I'll practice them at night when I'm just laying in bed. And so he's been a huge influence. And then also, I'd have to say probably one of my greatest heroes, I guess you could say, is Julio Jones, just because of his work ethic. I grew up a Falcons fan. I used to live in Georgia. And so just watching him, his work ethic, his commitment to the community of Atlanta, it's just something I would strive to achieve in the future.
Yeah, two stellar athletes, and two actually I think great examples, because you look at a Donald, and deemed to be undersized in today's era of football, and he's just a beast. You touched on a couple of things. One is working on his moves and doing those things that emulating somebody else that has proven experience and success, and then modeling after that. I think that's fantastic. And I don't see enough young men doing things like that, doing the extra things, the more, better, quicker. So one question though that comes to mind, that when we took a look at all of your high school achievements and accolades. And then to see that you chose to go to Long Beach City College as your next step. I think, and Tim will attest to this because Tim went to junior college as well. And our last guest was a junior college head coach. So we see the benefit of doing that. But can you explain why you made that choice and what your long-term goals are?
So the long-term goal is to make it to the NFL. I think that if I'm going to put my body through all this training, through all this work, go through all these years, then you wouldn't do it if you didn't look to reach that level, that pro level. But also, I chose a JUCO just because throughout high school there were some great issues in the beginning. I didn't get as much exposure as I probably could have because really I used to be a basketball player. And so until sophomore year, I was like, oh, I want to do basketball. But then I realized I'm kind of good at football and I have the size for it. So that works out. And so it wasn't really even until junior year that I knew about recruiting camps. I didn't know about combines. And so when I went to my first ones, it was kind of like me doing those first few drills. And so my numbers weren't that great. And so those looks never really came. And then also the school I went to, it wasn't that, I guess you could say, high as a school in terms of divisions. It's a D12 school. And my coach did do a lot to get me that exposure. But just because of some early on grades, I just didn't get those in time. And so choosing a JUCO and choosing Long Beach, they're actually the #1 JUCO in California that sends their players to D1 schools. And their D-line coaches are just phenomenal. When I went to go do a visit there, I was just very impressed with how they treat their players and how they work as a team. And so I just thought that would be a better route to go.
Well, man, yeah, I can tell you taking that JUCO route, it's the one, like you said, as long as you got your head on straight and you know what you want to do and that's you do. You want to go to the NFL. You make it what you put in. So being around that right environment, having those great coaches around you, keep chasing that, keep developing your game, my man, and got no doubt we're going to expect to hear great things from you, especially that being local. Long Beach is right down the road from us, so excited to follow your journey and your path over there, man.
Thank you.
Give us some insight to what you share with coaches to work with young men today. So dive into that for us.
All right, this is gotta go to any thoughts. I'd say, because this is just from my experience, I'd say work with those who are able to be worked on, if that makes sense. So like, if you have a player who may not be as highly developed as they can be, but they still put in the work and put in the effort to be, then work on that. Because in my case, I didn't even, this is kind of sad, I really didn't even know how to pass rush until halfway through my junior season. And so it was just, my coaches kept working with me, I worked on it, and so all the practice was just me trying to get better. And so really, those are the players you want to look out for, because I've met some players, not on my team, but just like out in combines and camps where it's like their coaches don't really pay much attention to them, but it's like they choose to go look at that more, I guess you say, ranked players or those higher up players rather than developing some of the smaller, less, I'm trying to think of the right word, the less
talented?
Right, less talented. And so with that being said, it's like you want to take, you're going to have your players that just, you see the, I guess you say, potential in them. They're just not tapping into it. But the best thing as a coach you probably do is at least try to help them reach that potential. And if that's the case and they still don't work up to that, then you at least can say you tried. It's just their work ethic isn't right at that point. But if you just simply ignore that player with the high potential and just focus on your star players, then you, as a coach, I think that's just, you're not doing your job. Because as a coach, your job is meant to uplift players, help them reach the best possible position that they can be in. And if you don't take the time to, I guess, work and develop that, then it's really, you find another job.
So how old are you, Xavier? How old are you?
Just turned 18 in March.
Just turned 18, and here it is, 2020. Let's roll back 35 years to when I was 17 and 18. And you know what's a sign? Things just don't change, because I was that same young man as you. I was going to play basketball. I had no intentions of playing football. I wasn't very good at it, and I was a much better basketball player. But I had a coach who did exactly what you said. Saw the potential, saw a young man that was willing to do whatever it took, even though I wasn't very good. And the rest is history, to be able to make it to the NFL. And it wasn't an easy track because, even though I wanted to, and even though he worked with me, I still wasn't good. Right. So, you're doing all those things. And, I look back, and then when I coached, I don't know how many times I chose the young man that was front and center all the time, wanted to be on that field. I didn't care if you were 5'10", $180. I'll put you at guard if you're going to go hit somebody in the mouth over a guy that's 6'2", 240 that just thinks he should be there, right? It's exactly what you're saying. And too many coaches just keep chasing that kid, that has got the talent and the size, but not the work ethic. I'm the exact opposite. Give me the kid with the work ethic. I'll tell him how to get there, because I know he'll put in the effort. I know he'll perform. And it's too bad that a lot of times that eyeball test is what is prevalent. What the kid looks like, what the kid benches, what the kid does, and not the kid's heart. And so I like to look inside. And man, if you can, because you got the outside too. If you can put together the outside and the inside, man, then you got something special. So. So what are you focusing on now then? So you're focusing on your grades, you're focusing on those things that you don't fall into the same trap as you obviously have the athletic ability, you obviously have the talent, but now you've got to work on some of the weaknesses, right?
Right. And so pretty much the focus is just on making sure that I stay on my grades, and this the first semester senior year kind of proved to myself that I can if I want to, because it was only my first time ever having a 3.0 or above going into the second semester. And so that kind of just showed myself that I can do it if I want to. It's just putting in the effort and time to make sure that schoolwork is up to par. And definitely if I had a time machine, I'd go back to tell myself that.
But it's never too late.
Right.
Yep, never too late. Learn from your mistakes, and that's all part of failure, right? Is learning from them and correcting them. And if you don't, then you haven't learned anything, and maybe you'll need to fail again.
Yeah.
So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And then I'm working on trying to develop the technique more, because since we're in quarantine, I've had a lot of time at home, and so I just go back in old film to watch how exactly I did some things, and I'd watch it and be like, oh, how'd that happen? And so it's just the little things, going back to look at those, see where I need to polish up, because you always improve. And so I always just go back and try to see what I can improve on, even if it was a game that I did amazing in or everyone says I did great in. I still look to see, oh, I could have done this,
right?
Or oh, I could have made this move instead of trying to just power through, or oh, I stood up on a double team. And so going back going through those to make sure that everything, so that when the season does pick back up, I have everything down to a T.
That's cool. One thing I want to ask you before I forget and let Tim ask you another question real quick before we wrap this up is that if you'll do us a favor, and when you're out working on those moves out in the yard or wherever it is that you're doing that, if you'll video yourself, which you should probably be doing anyways, just to kind of see how you're doing with it. And but if you'll video just a little clip and send it to us so we can post it. We're starting a thing, Athletes at Home, where we let young athletes post their workouts, their at-home workouts, what they're doing to make themselves better, to separate themselves from the rest that maybe not taking advantage of this time. We really would appreciate it, and you get to zip it off to us, and we'll get it up on our website. Okay. Tim, do you have another question for this young man?
Yeah, I want to back it up real quick and just ask you about high school and the relationships, right, and how you choose your friends. When I was in high school, I had some friends that were on the right path, like I said, and some on the wrong. So how do you go about that, choosing the right friends and surrounding yourself with the right people that are, going to help build you up into the person that you're trying to be?
So it's kind of weird because being a military kid with my mom always moving, it was kind of easy to make friends a lot. And so I'd move somewhere 2-3 days later, I'd have some more friends. But with football, I kind of stick to, I guess you could say I have my different groups. I have my friends from football who I would normally hang out with during school and outside of school, just, catching up. And then I'd also have my friends I just made through classes and through mutual friends. And so really, when I make my friends, I just look for people who kind of, I'm trying to think, they like have a goal in mind. And so most of my friends, they're great people and I wouldn't trade them for anything. And so it's just like when we're out, it's never like, oh, let's not invite so-and-so from the group. It's like everyone in the group that enjoys each other's company. They're all great people. They all have a sense of humor. And it's always just great times. And then they also all have goals in life. So all my friends, they all have something they want to aspire to be. And so we've all talked about it. We've all helped each other in achieving our goals. And that's just kind of how I look at it, to try and piece together my friend group.
Great advice. So one thing, if I could ask you, if you were talking to Xavier going into 9th grade or another young high school athlete that has dreams and aspirations, what would you say?
Definitely focus on school first. That's a given. And then also just always make sure to give more effort than what is being asked, because that's how you prepare yourself. Because if you prepare for something at 100%, something you may be prepared for that game, but you won't have the advantage over someone else who also prepared 100%. Now, if you prepare 110%, now you have that advantage and that extra preparation than someone who still prepared 100%, but they didn't go the extra mile. Just always go above and beyond, put in the work and effort that is needed for you to be the best player and person you can be. It doesn't always have to be school-related or sports-related. It's also in school, always make sure to study more than what the teacher has asked, and just always put in that little extra in your schoolwork as well.
You touched on it. Do more than expected. Better, do it better than expected. And do it quicker than expected. And you will set yourself apart from the rest of the field, on the field, in life, in business, in your personal life. If you adhere to that principle, more, better, quicker, and you're right. It's going to set you apart, and it's a great work ethic to have. So I think, Tim, remind the folks of where they can find us and where they should like us.
Yes, Mission Sports TV on YouTube, guys. Make sure you sign on, watch this episode, drop us a comment, subscribe, and then on Instagram at Mission Sports Network. Follow us and reach out to us. We want to hear from you guys.
I think we're on Facebook. I think we're on Facebook too, aren't we?
We are on Facebook. Yeah. At Mission Sports TV. So follow us on all the platforms. Reach out to us. This is a community, guys. We want to hear from you. We're going to tell you what we're thinking, and we want to help each other on this journey of sports and in life. And like X said, it's building up, and we all have goals and aspirations, and we want to help each other reach those goals and aspirations.
Yeah, please do follow us, and please send us videos of yourselves working out at home. What are you doing to separate yourselves from the field so when this thing lifts, you hit the ground running and make an impact? Xavier Cousar, thank you, young man. Terminator X, thank you so much for being on our show, talking to our young athletes and sharing your experiences even as a young man. We wish you the best of luck. We know that with everything you've shared with us that you're on the right track. And you've already made some errors or whatever that you're learning from and you're building from. And we wish you the best of luck. We will certainly, as Tim said, follow you. You're right up the street, and maybe get you back on the show when you're signing your letter of intent to your next venture.
Let's go, Max.
All right, man. Have a blessed day. All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us in the locker room. and we will see you again here shortly. Be good teammates.